Tvameva mata cha pita tvameva, tvameva bandhuscha saka tvameva, tvameva vidya dravinam tvameva, tvameva sarvam mama deva deva. Shri Dakshinamurti Sudeshikendram Dvaipayanam Sutrakritam Munindram Sri Shankaram Bhashyakritam Yatindram Maddeshi Kanchapi Namami Vityai. Om Namo Brahmadibhyo Brahma Vidya Sampradaya Kartrubhyo Vamsarishibhyo Mahatbhyo Namo Gurubhyaha Sarvopaplavarhita Prajnana Ganaha Pratyagarto Brahmaivahamasmi. Om Prapanna Parijataya Totra Vetraikapaniye Jnana Mudraya Krishnaya Gita Mrtaduhe Namaha. Pranams everyone. We are in the second chapter, Sloka number 62. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Dhyayato Vishayan Pumsaha Sangasteshu Pajayate Sangat Sanjayate Kamaha Kamat Krodho Bijayate. So in this section of second chapter, it started with Arjuna asking about Sthita Prajna to Bhagavan. Sloka 54, Arjuna asked Sthita Prajnasya ka bhasha samadhistasya keshava. And then Bhagavan, in his response, started giving Sthita Prajna Lakshana from Sloka number 55. Then from Sloka 58 onwards, Bhagavan talked about how to convert jnana into jnana nishta. How to become from a prajna to sthita prajna. Bhagavan is giving the sadhanas to help to convert jnana to jnana nishta. So 58 onwards, Bhagavan had given damaha as a lakshana. The sensory discipline was given from Sloka number 58 onwards. Now from this Sloka 62 onwards, Bhagavan is talking about Shamaha, which is mind control. And these two, the mind and the sense organs, have to be disciplined for any spiritual practice, especially for converting jnana to jnana nishta. And Bhagavan here, he talks about how does the mind get disturbed. And Bhagavan gives a series of steps here. And the first step is, Bhagavan talks about Dhyayato Vishayan Pumsaha. Vishaya Dhyanam is the first step where the mind gets disturbed, or how the mind gets disturbed. Bhagavan is explaining. The first step is Vishaya Dhyanam. The mind has a tendency to dwell upon one thing or other, either it is in the past or in the future. On the past, it talks about all the guilts. I shouldn't have done that, I should have done that, all the guilts. Or the hurt that I have received from this person, that place, it dwells upon that. Or in the future, it thinks about anxiety. Or it talks about raga also. Any kind of attachment, the mind keeps thinking about it. Vishaya Dhyanam, it keeps thinking about a source of joy, for example, or something that can attract the mind. It keeps thinking about that. So the first thought, when that first thought comes, it is the intellect which makes the call whether to actually feed that, nourish that thought or not. And if the mind is in control, the mind supersedes the intellect, and then that thought becomes initially like a feeble wave, it becomes a ripple, then it becomes a huge wave. Dhyayato Vishayan Pumsa, Vishaya Dhyanam. Now the second stage, what happens? Sangasteshu Upajayate. That fancy or attachment on the sense object now turns into an attachment. That whatever thought, that initial thought we had, now converts itself into an attachment. Sangha. It's a feeling that it is attractive, it is a source of joy. Now, initially it was beautiful, the first step, now it is attractive. So this is from Vishaya Dhyanam to Sangha Jayate. Then a stage comes. Now a fancy has been created in the mind. Now a stage comes for when the stubborn children, the mind says, I want to have it. I want to enjoy it. I want to experience it. And the mind starts to think, I am prepared to do anything for it, but I want it. And the more and more we feed this in thought, the more and more we nourish this, it will come to a situation where the mind will say, I cannot live without it. I cannot survive without it. This is a must-have for me in my life. And this is the height of fancy, which is called as Kamaha. So, from Sangat, the third step comes, the next line, Sangat Sanjayate Kamaha. From fancy, Kamaha Sanjayate. Desire is born. Now I am kind of totally trapped. I am totally enslaved. There is a deep yearning for me. The deep desire is there to have this object, have this person, have this object, have this situation. So this is the third step. Sangat Sanjayate Kamaha. Just to recollect, the first step is Vishaya Dhyanam. Then from there, Vishaya Sangaha. Now from Vishaya Sangaha to Vishaya Kamaha. This is the third stage. Then what happens from Kamaha? Kamat Krodho Bijayate. From desire of Kamat, Krodha Abhijayate. Anger arises. From desire, anger arises. How is that from desire and anger can arise? Anger can arise out of desire only. Wherever there is anger, you can clearly trace back to a desire. Shastra says anger will always have a root in desire. Now, how does the desire convert itself into anger? From desire, two routes are possible. One route is when the desire gets fulfilled. The other route is when the desire does not get fulfilled. Actually, about this desire and the fulfillment, non-fulfillment, we will be doing a detailed vichara in 3rd chapter. Bhagavan talks about desire one full section has been given in 3rd chapter for doing a vichara on desire. Now, desire gets fulfilled, desire does not get fulfilled. Now, Bhagavan, when we say anger, we are talking about the second route. When the desire does not get fulfilled, what will happen? Whoever is the cause of obstruction, whatever is the cause of obstruction of fulfilling the desire, we will get angry on them, on that person, on that situation, on that object, whatever. In fact, there is anger or fear is also possible. If the person who is obstructing our desire to get fulfilled, if that person is weaker than us, then we will get angry. If that person or thing, whatever, is actually more powerful than us, then we get fearful of them. So whatever is the cause of obstruction, we will get angry on them. So which means obstructed desire, from an obstructed desire only, and only anger is born. So wherever we have anger, we can be pretty sure that there is an underlying desire beneath it. Some people can get angry even on things that are not really need to be, where we need to show some anger on. For example, some people might get angry with, it's for raining. So they get angry with rain, they curse the rain. It is because they have a desire that they want to go out today and they are not able to go out, and rain has come, and therefore they started cursing the rain. It's not like that they dislike the rain, but it's just that the desire is obstructed. And whenever something is obstructing the desire, anger is born. So if the anger is on an object, we want to break it. If the anger is on a person, we wish him, we want to do him himsa. And the himsa itself can be at all levels. Sometimes, if possible, physical, not otherwise mental, or through words, or we do things to irritate that person. So if we analyze anger, we can be pretty sure that it can be traced or tracked back to a root cause of desire. Some people say, if we get angry with our children. If our children are not studying well, we get angry. But if the neighbor's children are not studying properly, do we get angry? No. We do not bother whether the neighbor's child is studying or not. So wherever there is anger, the root problem is desire. So Bhagavan says, Kamat Krodho Abhijayate. So Vishaya Dhyanam, then Sangaha, from Vishaya Sangaha, then from there Kamaha, Vishaya Kamaha, now from Kamaha to Krodha. Now does it stop with anger? No. Bhagavan continues in the next sloka. Krodhat bhavati sammohaha, sammohat smriti vibramaha, smriti bramshat buddhinashaha, buddhinashat pranashyati. Krodhat bhavati sammohaha, sammohat smriti vibramaha, smriti bramshat buddhinashaha, buddhinashat pranashyati. So Bhagavan continues, he says, Krodhat bhavati sammohaha. From anger, Krodhat bhavati, from anger arises, what does anger lead to? Sammohaha, sammohaha, delusion. Mohaha itself means delusion. Sammohaha means completely deluded. We lose the power of discrimination. What is the effect of moha, or what is the result of moha? We lose the power of discrimination. What kind of discrimination? Discrimination or the ability to know what is to be done and what is not to be done. So we forget that. We forget what is to be done and we forget what cannot be done or what must not be done. We forget what can be spoken and we forget what cannot be spoken. So, krodhat sammohat bhavati. When the mind is in the grip of anger, their discriminative power is lost. Sometimes we lose the sense of decency also. We forget who we are. We forget who the person is in front of us also. That person could be anybody, an elderly person also. We forget all these things are lost, covered. The moha, delusion covers the intellect. And this anger is to be seen in the negative light. Anger is not something to be proud of. But some people take pride in saying, if I get angry, you know what I will do? They claim, put these sentences out to show how praiseworthy their anger is. And they'll say, if I get angry, I do not know what I will do. Or if I get angry, I won't. Tamil they say, I won't remain a human. Later they may get regretted or apologize for that, but during that moment, the person loses the balance. Krodhat sammohat bhavati. Sammohat means delusion, not knowing what to do, what not to do. The person becomes mad. That is why probably in US and other Western world they say another word for anger they use is madness. Whenever they are angry at someone, they say, I am mad at you. That's because you are become mad. You don't know what needs to be done or what need not be done or what should not be done. It's the right translation, in fact. So, sammohat is basically temporary madness. The power to discriminate is lost. The power to discriminate is lost. But what is the root cause of all these problems? Even for anger, even for desire, the root cause is vishaya dhyana. Vishaya dhyana means there is no discipline, thought discipline. There is no thought discipline. There is no shamaha. That is the cause of the problem. So if there is no mental discipline, will it stop with sammoha? Will it stop with just moha, delusion? No. Bhagavan says, sammohat smriti vibhramaha. From delusion, sammohat smriti vibhramaha. The loss of memory happens. Smriti vibhramaha means loss. Smriti means whatever we had gained as knowledge. So smriti vibhramaha means losing the knowledge that we had gained. What is smriti? Smriti normally means memory. Shankaracharya gives the meaning for smriti as Shastra Acharya Upadesha Janya Samskaraha. Whatever Shastra and Acharya had given to us as in the form of teachings, whatever we had gained through various sadhanas, difficult sadhanas, we have gained this knowledge. All these samskaras, our tendencies, that is considered to be smriti here. So whatever we had gained from all the teachings, from all the gurus that and had brought in as our tendencies, our natural character traits, that will be lost. Whatever the Shastra had said, this can be said, this cannot be said, this can be done, this cannot be done, this can be seen, this should not be seen, this is how you need to behave, this is not how you should behave. All the learning that we had acquired, all that will not be available for us at that point of time when we are angry. Whatever culture we had gained, whatever personality we had actually built, that will be lost. During that time of delusion, the memory fails. Smriti vibhramaha means the entire knowledge that we had gained is temporarily lost. Then afterwards, what happens? We get back the memory. We will also understand that we shouldn't have done that, we shouldn't have said that. We may even quote the scriptures in terms of what should have been done at that point of time. But that is not the purpose. The purpose here is to actually, whatever we are studying is to actually help us in day-to-day activities. So we want this Bhagavad Gita to actually help us when we are in crisis. When we are in crisis. And that means when there is, to make sure that we avoid getting angry. Because we then at that point of time when anger comes in, we immediately recollect whatever Shastras and Gurus, Upadesha, and then say, okay, look, it's not getting in the right direction, let's not get angry. The teaching should help us at the time of crisis. Otherwise, it will be like what Karna went through. Karna had learnt all the mantras, all the extraordinary mantras, but he also had a shapa, a kind of a curse that at the crucial moment he will not remember them. So this is important. Sammohat smriti vibhramaha. When does this smriti vibhramaha happens? When there is moham, when there is delusion. Now, does it stop there? No, Bhagavan continues. Smriti bhramshat buddhi nashaha. So the next fall is, suppose we do not take enough steps to remedy the situation. Then what will happen? The loss of memory, smriti bhramshat, will result in buddhi nashaha. Loss of discrimination. Discrimination is, here it is from temporary loss to permanent loss. Once the knowledge is obstructed, the discriminative power is permanently lost. Permanent loss of discrimination. There is a point of no return. Because right now, earlier I had this possibility to get back my self. But once the buddhi nasha happens, I start now justifying all the things that I am doing now. Buddhi nasha. The buddhi does not function at all. The intellect does not function at all. And what happens after that? Does it end with that? Bhagavan says, buddhi nashat pranashyati. Loss of discrimination, buddhi nashat pranashyati. He perishes. The loss of discrimination is equivalent to the loss of human life. Only the humans have this tendency or the power to discriminate. So if somebody loses the power to discriminate, then it is as good as not having a proper human life at all. We stop being a human because we have lost the power to discriminate. A person is human as much, in fact Shankaracharya says, a person is human as much as he has his buddhi only. Once he loses buddhi, he loses the status of being a human. But here pranashyati does not, pranashyati means perishes. Perishes means, does not mean that the physical body perishes. It means purushartha ayogya bhavati. Ayogya bhavati means he loses the eligibility. Yogyata means eligibility. Ayogya means does not have the eligibility. Purushartha ayogya bhavati means he loses the eligibility to attain the four purusharthas. What are those four purusharthas? Dharma, artha, kama, moksha. He will not be able to attain any of those four. And if a person does not have the ability to attain any of that four, that human life is a waste. Then we will have to hope for another human birth, human life, to actually get that. Therefore, Bhagavan strongly wants, have mental control, have mental discipline. Because for all these things, the root cause is mental indiscipline, not having control on our thoughts. So Bhagavan says, do not be impulsive. Make sure that you deliberate before every action, in every thought. Every thought that comes up in our mind, validate that thought. Whether you want to actually dwell on that thought or not. So in these two slokas, Bhagavan talks about how if a lack of thought discipline will lead to destruction of a human life or a wastage of human life. And it's in step of 8 stages. Just to recollect, what are the 8 stages? First one is Vishaya Dhyanam, then Sangaha. Vishaya Dhyana means basically dwelling on sense objects. I keep dwelling on sense objects, then it leads to Sangaha, developing a fancy for that object. Then as I get fancy, as I kind of nourish that fancy, what happens? Kamaha. Sangas sanjayate kamaha. desire for that object, a deep desire for that object comes in my mind. And then kamat krodho bijayate. Krodha arises, anger arises, and from anger sammoha, delusion, I lose my discriminative power. And from moha, smriti vibramsha. Smriti vibhramaha means temporary loss of knowledge. What temporary loss of memory, whatever I have studied, I forget that. And then from there, buddhinasha, I have a permanent loss of discriminative power. From there, pranasha, human life is wasted. This is the 8-runged ladder of human fall. What is the beginning? Beginning is Vishaya Dhyana. Blindly dwelling upon any object will lead to problem. If we do not throw the thought out of our mind at that point of time, and if we allow the mind to keep dwelling on that thought, then what appears as an initial seed will grow up into a huge tree and into a forest, and it will engulf us. It will lead us to our downfall. And see how the mind has actually over or controlled the intellect. Buddhinashaha, we talked about smriti vibhramaha. We are talking about memory being taken over, intellect being taken over. Just that thought, a small thought can actually engulf the whole memory as well as the intellect. When we say quality of life, actually the quality of life depends upon our intellect, our buddhi only. The quality of life depends on the extent of our usage of our buddhi only. It is not dependent on the money that we make. That quality that we have is the status of our buddhi. Otherwise, if somebody is actually not having enough discriminative power or not having that much of intelligence, may not have that kind of life or quality of life, they may not be able to enjoy that quality of life. If the buddhi is lost, if the discriminative power is lost, it is as good as losing this life. Human life is wasted. Why do we say that? Because only if we have proper buddhi, a proper intellect, we will have the tendency to gain punya. Otherwise, if we do not have proper intellect, we lose out on opportunities to gain punya. There might be an opportunity to gain punya somewhere. If our intellect is not good enough, we will ignore it. And by doing that, if we do not gather punya, we will be dragged more and more into samsara. The punya, of course, has to be converted into chitta shuddhi. How does it done? That is karma yoga. We'll see in the next chapter. But initial, for any human life, any opportunity to gain punya should not be lost. If we lose it, then the life is wasted. And therefore, intellect, having a proper intellect is very important. And how can the intellect be, or how can the intellect be destroyed, or it can have a problem? When do we lose this discriminative power? When there is lack of Shamaha. The root cause is lack of Shamaha. So 62 and 63, Bhagavan gave the consequences of lack of Shamaha. Now from 64 and 65, Bhagavan is going to talk about the benefit that a person will have if he has Shamaha. So now the kind of positive approach. Bhagavan is going to give a positive approach. What will be the benefit by if a person has Shamaha? Sloka number 64. Ragadvesha viyuktaistu Vishayan indriyaischaran Atma vasyair vidheyatma prasadamadigaccati. Ragadvesha viyuktaistu Vishayan indriyaischaran Atma vasyair vidheyatma prasadamadigaccati. So as I said, the essence of this and the next sloka is about the benefit of Shamaha, as in, if a person leads a life with mental discipline, what does he attain as benefit? What is the benefit of following Shamaha? So if a person has sensory discipline as well as mental discipline, what happens? His mind will remain calm, and only a calm mind, with a calm mind he will be able to perform Nidhidhyasana as a sadhana, and therefore be able to convert jnana into jnana nishta. That is the benefit of within this context, because Bhagavan is talking about Shamaha and Damaha here in the context of converting jnana into jnana nishta. But in general also, in life and general, whatever we want to attain or achieve, we will need mental discipline. The mind should be in our control, at least somewhat. We should not let the mind thought drive all our words, all our actions, and wherever the thought goes, I will think about that, I will actually feed that thought and then talk about it and then lose myself in it. That should not happen. If it happens, then we will not be able to attain or achieve anything in this life. The mind need not be in full control like an yogi. Like yogis can control their mind, but some bit of control should be there in our life. Only then we can achieve something in this life. Otherwise, the entire life will be wasted, spiritually as well as materialistically. So here in these two slokas, Bhagavan says how a person with mind control is able to attain jnana nishta. He says, Ragadvesha vyuktaistu. Tu means but, as in Bhagavan from the previous sloka, but means for people who are different from whatever has been described in the previous two slokas. But Ragadvesha viyuktai. Viyuktai means who are free from. Free from what? Ragadvesha. Likes and dislikes. Which need to be free from likes and dislikes? Which are we talking about? It refers to the sense organs. Vishayan indriyaischaran. It refers to the sense organs. So Bhagavan says, if the sense organs are free from likes and dislikes, so we should be alert. The sense organs also, as I said, we had already seen in Damaha, the sense organs have a sense of likes and dislikes. The mind has a sense of likes and dislikes. But we should be alert in not getting the likes and dislikes come in the way of dealing with this world. If the whole problem, the entire problem in this spiritual journey, or the entire reason for our misery, the entire reason for samsara, is only likes and dislikes. Ragadvesha is the cause of all the problems. We always have some bit of attraction towards something and some bit of dislike to something, and that is the cause of all the problems, all the misery. We think certain people bring us joy, certain things bring us joy, and certain people, we do not like them, we have hatred. The problem is it's not the people, it's not the object that has this raga or dvesha inbuilt on them. Because we have this misconception that this is an object of sorrow, this is an object of joy. So being alert means never allowing that misconception to be developed. I see a rose, the rose is beautiful. In the plant, it's beautiful, wonderful. Why should I have it only in my pocket? That is the problem. When we have this attraction, we want that to be ours. Same with a house or a person. We want that person to be ours, to be mine. With a possession, whatever we want, there is a sense of attachment, or we want to make it ours. Vishayan indriyai charan. Charan vishayan. What does he do? Charan. Charan means moving. Moving amidst where? Vishayan. Vishayan means sense objects. So this person deals and transacts with the world he deals with this world, but he is free from raga dvesha viyuktaihi. So he does not deal with all the sensory objects that come into his field. This person deals only with the sense objects that are necessary for transaction. So he talks, he sees, he hears, he feels only those that are necessary. Only with those unavoidable vishayan he will deal with them. Now what happens after that? Second line. Ātma vashyair vidheyātma prasadam adhigacchati. Now that the sense, not only are the sense organs free from weakness, the weakness is basically there are no raga dvesha. Bhagavan says ātma vashyaihi. Ātma vashyaihi means not only they do not have any sense of likes and dislikes, but his sense organs are also under his control. Ātma vashyaihi. Vashatil irikpadu in Tamil solluvom. We said Ātma vashyaihi means under his control. Ātma here means buddhi. So the buddhi controls the sense organs. Indriyaihi, vashyaihi indraihi. So he operates with the sense organs which are obedient to his intellect, which means he has mastered the sense organs. Which means the intellect is in control. See, when does the intellect gets in control? When it is able to discriminate and also control the mind and the sense organs. We know the evils of there are people who know everybody knows the evil of alcohol. It is clearly called out. Our buddhi also reads it. It is clearly understands it. And once it is clear, Shastras also say that it has not to be suram na pibet. Shastra prohibits it. Doctor also writes it's not good for us, for health. But then we should have the power to not drink it. And that is where the intellect comes into play. Whether the intellect is in power, is in control, or whether my sense organs or mind is in control, is determined by whether we drink or not drink. Because we know and we should be able to say no to it. And the first time maybe we will be able to say no, but then if they actually ask it, keep asking, we lose the power, the intellect loses the power, the mind takes over, the sense organs take over. And then when the intellect loses its power and the mind takes over, we do certain things. At that point of time, what do? We blame our karma, we blame prarabdha. What has done? We have abused the power that has been given to the intellect, but at the end of the day, we blame the karma for it. Similarly, same thing is doing with anything that has not to be done, whether it is smoking or whatever. When we say, we should be able to say no, and we should be able to follow it. That is called the life of mastery. Therefore, ātma vashyehi, one who has got this as under control. Not only that, he is videyatma. Videyatma means self-controlled one. Videyaha means swavashavardi, one who has kept in control. Here videyatma here atma means the atma represents the mind, the antakaranam. This antakaranam, the mind. Videyatma means a person with self-control, self-discipline, who has kept his mind under control. It is not important to keep others in our control. What is important is to keep our mind in our control. If we let the thoughts come up in the mind and let the thoughts decide our moods, our issues, our anger and our problems and all those things, that means we are not in control of our mind. If the mind is in our control, we do not bother if anybody is controlling anybody else. We do not bother at all. We will not bother at all, because my mind is in my control. Because the mind is the cause of samsara. If I am able to control my mind, my samsara is that much reduced. Let anybody be in control of anybody. I don't care. As long as my mind is in my control, I will not be under, it will not give us samsara. So videyatma means disciplined, obedient, which means the one who has got an obedient set of sense organs and mind. What happens to this person? One who has been able to free himself from raga-dvesha, the sense organs are free from raga-dvesha, vishayan indriyecharan, he does deal with sense objects, but only for unavoidable transactions. Atma vashyehi, here is a person who is able to have a control on his intellect. Videyatma, he is self-disciplined, his mind is under control. What happens to him? Prasadam adhigacchati. Prasadam here means tranquility. Adhigacchati means enjoys. He enjoys a peace of mind. He enjoys tranquility. There are no violent disturbances in the mind. There is no kind of feeling of anger, problems, hatred, or sense of feeling of guilt or hurt. Nothing. No more violent disturbances. There is no vikshepam, there is no krodham, there is no kamam. What is the reason? Videyatma. He has his mind in his control. Sense organs free from raga-dvesha. Raga-dvesha viyuktahi. He is not in the control of sense organs. The sense organs are under his control. Atma vashyehi. He attains tranquil mind. Prasadam adhigacchati. Prasadam means here shantihi. Normally we use prasadam for any kind of prasadam that we get from the temple. Vada, sundal, whatever. So when things come from Bhagavan and when we take that, we feel what happens when we take prasadam? When we take things from Bhagavan, we have it, we feel a sense of shanti, peace. And that's why those are called as prasadam. Because when we take something, vada or sundal from Bhagavan as a prasada, we call that as prasada because it gives us peace of mind. Prasad, the root is actually to become tranquil. Prasaidati, prasaidata. The prasaidata means prasida, prasidadata. Prasidadata means we would have heard that prasida in Slokas also. Prasida means to be pleased, to be satisfied, to be calm. So prasadaha is an abstract noun of that, which means calmness of the mind. So any person who has been able to control the sense organs, he has been able to limit the likes and dislikes, who has the sense organs under his control, who ātma is the control of the mind, for him calmness of the mind prevails. And what is the advantage of the tranquil mind? Bhagavan says in the next sloka. Prasade sarva dukkhanam. Sloka number 65. Prasade sarva dukkhanam hanirasyopajayate prasanna-chetaso hyāśhu buddhiḥ-paryavatiṣhṭhate. Prasade sarva dukkhanam hanirasyopajayate prasanna-chetase hyāśhu buddhiḥ-paryavatiṣhṭhate. So here Bhagavan says, on a tranquil mind, jnāna will be established. When the mind is in our control, we get a tranquil mind. And when the mind gets away from us, when the mind is not in our control, we lose our mental peace. When the mind is with us, the mind will be peaceful. In fact, when we ask for Bhagavan, we say, you give me this, you give me that. When we pray for this, we say about our children's education, marriage, my parents' health, our own health, my retirement, and all those things, my health, my job, and all those things. When we ask for it, those are not important. What we should ask for from Ishvara is, Ishvara, please give me my mind. Make sure that my mind is in my control. To even ask for such prayer requires a matured mind. If our mind is with us, then it is prasada. Prasanna-chittam. The mind is happy. In this context, what we are saying is prasada means shantihi, samatvam. There is a kind of balance, equanimity in our mind. And what will we get out of a tranquil mind, equanimous mind? Prasade sarva dukkhanam hanihi. Hani. Prasade. When the mind is in tranquility, what happens? Hanihi. The destruction. There is a destruction. Destruction of what? Sarva dukkhanam. Of all miseries, of all sorrows. There are so many sorrows that I am carrying in my mind from my past. So many hurt and guilt that I have from my past. I couldn't do this. I have been cheated, and all those things, all those sorrows that I have accumulated in my mind. Hanihi, destruction of all miseries and sorrows. When the mind is prasade, when the mind is tranquil. Hanihi asya upajayate. Asya means of this person. Who this person is, we already saw in the previous sloka. Ātma, one who has got control of his mind. Ātma upajayate, takes place. What takes place? Sarva dukkhanam hanihi. The destruction of all sorrows, miseries. When does it happen? Prasade, when the mind is in tranquility. In tranquility, the destruction or misery or of all miseries or sorrows of a person takes place. So prasadam or samatvam will remove all the sorrows. Samatvam in turn will bring happiness or joy. So here what is important here is happiness or joy is not something that we have to gain from the outside world. It is not that this person in my life will give me happiness. This situation in life will give me happiness. This much money will give me happiness. This much fame will give me happiness. We need not bring happiness from the outside world. According to our Shastras, according to our Vedanta, outside world does not give any happiness. Whatever happiness that we are feeling inside because of the outside world is actually a complex work. We have already discussed this. It's that when the punyas, actually when the mind becomes calm, the mind is a reflection of the ātma. The ātma is Ananda Swarupa. That reflection of the Ananda in the mind is what we see as our happiness. But then because we think that the external world is giving me happiness, it is not that the external world is giving you happiness. Because the mind is calm, we see the happiness. So the happiness is inside me. The world does not even have an iota of happiness. It cannot give even a drop of happiness. None of the objects in the world. After using a sense object, we enjoy happiness. Before that, we did not have happiness. Therefore, we say the happiness has been given by the object that I have come into contact. No, those sense objects have been only responsible in bringing out the happiness which is already inside us. And why does I liked somebody in my life. I am not able to be with them. I am unhappy. The moment they come to me or I am with them, what happens? I feel happy. And I think, therefore, they bring me happiness. But the real reason is, what has happened when I am with them, what happens is the mental disturbances, that vikshepa that I had in mind, that disturbance that I have to be with them, that kind of feeling subsides. The mind has become calm. And because the mind has become calm, I am able to see the reflected happiness of ātma in my mind. And therefore I am happy. There is a temporary removal of those mental disturbances. The mental disturbances are blocking my happiness. Because when they were not with me, I had this mental disturbance. And therefore when they come, when I am with them, the mental disturbance has subsided. And therefore the happiness is evident. So the reason is not that the person brings you happiness. The real reason is the mental disturbances are blocking our happiness. And how do I remove the mental disturbances? By sense control, by mental control, by thought control. By those control of those sense objects, sense organs and my mind, I can remove my mental disturbances. And when my mental disturbances are removed, my own ātma ānanda manifests. And this is what Bhagavan conveys here. Prasanna-chetaso hyāśhu. Prasanna-chetasa, a serene-minded person. Prasanna-chetasa. Serene-minded. Chetasa. Prasanna, prasada, both mean the same. Hyāśhu. He, āśhu. Verily, he means verily. Āśhu means soon. Soon, he will, the serene-minded person, paryavatiṣhṭhate. Buddhiḥ means here jnāna, prajñā, jnāna, whatever we say. What sort of jnāna? We are talking about ātma jñāna, sarvatra brahmadarshini prajñā. One, that ātma jñāna, brahma jñāna, that everything is Brahman, that self-knowledge. Paryavatiṣhṭhate, becomes firm, becomes established. paryavatiṣhṭhate. Pari means completely. Purnataya. Avatiṣhṭhate means remains. The knowledge is fully established. The jnana is fully established. Or it becomes firm. It becomes well rooted. The jnana becomes well assimilated. When does this happen? When prasade. When the mind is calm. When the mind is tranquil. When the mind is calm and what happens? Sarva dukkhanam hani. All sorrows are destroyed. And not only sorrows are destroyed, the knowledge becomes established. So a calm mind results in jnana becoming jnana nishta. So when we say destruction of dukkha, sarva dukkhanam hani, there can be two meanings to it. Destruction of sarva dukkhanam, sorrow, one is that sorrow resulting out of ajnana is destroyed. All the sorrows in life are due to our ajnana, our ignorance. Our ignorance of self is the cause for all sorrows. That's one. So ajnana is removed and therefore all the sorrows are destroyed because jnana becomes jnana nishta. The second is destruction of vikshepa, which is the cause of sorrow. There is a turbulence in the mind. Whenever there is a turbulence in the mind is not, there is a sorrow. The mind, only when the mind is without any disturbance, we are able to see the bottom. Only when the water is clean and without any disturbance, one can see the water bed. What is there in the water bed? What is at the bottom of the lake? If there is if the water has got a lot of waves in it, then we will not be able to see what is at the bottom. In the same way, the mind has to be clean and also without any kind of vikshepa. Only then that reflection of the Brahma Swarupa in the mind can be seen. So, two conditions are required. Calm mind. In a calm mind, only the jnana gets established firmly. The mind also has to be pure. That is karma yoga. Bhagavan has already talked about it. So, two conditions for us to be able to see or get jnana. One is pure mind, which is given by karma yoga, and then a mind without any disturbance. That can be got only through damaha and shamaha. So, only through a calm mind and a mind without any disturbance, one will be able to convert jnana to jnana nishta. Once we gain this jnana, that aham brahmasmi jnana, how do we actually ensure that the knowledge gets firmly established? We will have to give it time. But the time that is given, it has to be soaked without any disturbance. The mind has to be without any disturbance. It's like if you put pickle. I think I'll stop here because I'm sure that it's about 1 hour now. It might just cut off. We'll talk about how to convert jnana to jnana nishta later in the next class. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.